Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. Today, I want to talk about something that's maybe gotten a little bit more complicated than I believe it needs to be, and that is health. And we talk about health here quite a bit at No Days Off, and maybe I'm responsible for some of the confusion or the complication. Because right now, health has, in my opinion, never been talked about or studied or optimized to the extent that it is right now. And I think it's a great thing. And at the same time, I think it's never been more confusing. You've got people tracking their sleep, their HRV, which we've talked about here, their steps, their glucose levels. You've got cold plunges, you've got red light therapy, saunas, peptides, recovery tools, supplements, a whole boatload of things going on right now. And I'll be the very first to admit I am in it. I am way into it, right? I'm into the cold plunge and the red light and supplementation. And I train resistance training and endurance training. I am that guy. Like I am all in. But here's something I've been thinking about recently, maybe something I've come to realize. And it's really the point of this episode. It does not need to be that complicated. In fact, I think for most people, all of that stuff, while great, is also just noise. It's a distraction because we're chasing optimization in many ways, and we're failing to execute on the basics. And I'm talking about this today because I do get a lot of messages about, say, the cold plunge or red light or whatever it may be, because I talk about it. And I love, giving my thoughts around it, being someone that uses it. But when I take a step back, I always ask myself, well, is this person practicing the basics first? Because I think there's a gap between this optimization movement and just executing upon the basics of health. So here's what I really believe. I think that we have a lot of knowledge around health, but we have relatively poor execution, or at least execution in the order that it should occur. Most people know what to do, they're just not doing it constantly and consistently. And so today, my objective is to try to simplify this, strip it down a bit, and give you what I believe to be the non-negotiables. Now, this might be a review for many in the No Days Off Nation, or it may serve as a reminder to get back to the basics. We're not going to talk about hacks or trends, the things you might see online. I want to talk specifically about the foundation, the things that most move the needle before you start adding into your routine all of these optimization tools. Okay? So, non-negotiable number 1, I think it's to move your body every single day. I know we know this, but are we doing it? Right? I'm not talking about doing it sometimes. I'm not talking about when it's easy to do it. I'm talking about every single day. I don't even care what it looks like. Are you lifting? Are you running? Are you walking? Are you biking? Maybe go hiking. At the very least, are you exercise snacking, is what I'll call it, which would just be short bursts of movement throughout the day. Maybe it's 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Maybe it's push ups between your phone calls, taking a meeting on a walk versus standing in front, standing in your office. Maybe it's as simple as taking the stairs versus the escalator, or parking a little bit further away so you walk a bit more. Now, this is not the hacking stuff that gets all the rage, but this is the stuff that works. Because a lot of times we say, well, I don't have time. And while I want you to block off an hour or whatever it may be to be active in the sense I just described, you don't need the hour. You just need to make the decision that I'm going to move today. And that, I think, is the most important thing. And that is the shift that you make towards improving your health and longevity. And when I think around health and longevity, yes, a byproduct of doing these things is ideally to look good, but I'm thinking more about you just staying capable. Like, can you move at the age of 60 or at 70 or at 80? Can you carry your own bags? Can you climb the stairs? Can you stay independent? That's why, at least I think I'm training hard and why I push a bit and why I encourage everybody to do the same. But it starts with just moving. Non-negotiable number one. Don't go a day without moving. Number two, non-negotiable number two, strength matters more than most people think. Like if you had to pick one thing, this might be it. Because muscle, like developing muscle, again, it's not necessarily about appearance. It's about injury prevention and longevity and metabolism. And I think we maybe skip strength to maybe jump into some of these other optimization tools. People tend to avoid it. Like they'll walk, they'll maybe do cardio, but they don't get under a load of weight or do some sort of resistance training. And that's a mistake. That is definitely a mistake. That's just not a mistake in my words. I'm not necessarily the licensed health expert here. I think you talk to any intelligent expert in health, they're going to tell you you have to do some form of resistance training. Now, do you need 90 minutes in the gym? No, not necessarily. Maybe build to that, but you need to challenge your body. You need to challenge your body. And this becomes very real as you age. Strength is one of the biggest predictors of how well you're going to function later in life. So knowing how much this impacts your future, I think non-negotiable number two has got to be that strength matters and we have to prioritize it. Non-negotiable number three, probably a reminder for most, but I don't know how serious we're taking it. Sleep and recovery are not optional. The truth is, if we're being honest, a lot of people are trying to what I would call supplement or out supplement their way around bad sleep. You're not tired because you need another product or you have some sort of supplement that's missing in your life. You're tired because you're not disciplined with your sleep. And I have absolutely tried to get better at this, and I still have work personally. And I'm going to guess if you're an entrepreneur like so many of our audience, you might be making a few excuses around your sleep. Life is busy, work, kids, stress, all that. But sleep is where everything happens. Your recovery happens in sleep. Your hormone regulation occurs in sleep. Your ability to think the next day, like your cognitive function, is impacted by how you sleep, and so is your decision making as a leader. So if you want to perform better in life and in business, then start here in this non-negotiable number three. Sleep and recovery are not optional. You can't outwork poor recovery. You might be able to pull it off for a day, but if you stack that a number of days in a row, you're going to be in trouble. Non-negotiable number four, I'm going to call this one eat like an adult. Eat like an adult. What do I mean? I think we try to make food and eating too complicated. You don't need a perfect diet. You don't need to, follow every trend that you see. You just need to eat enough protein. You need to eat real food. You need to control your portions, and then you need to do this consistently. I think the Japanese culture has a great approach to this, and I can't remember exactly what they call it, but I know that the concept is that you eat not until you're completely full. You actually eat until you're about 80% full. So you're not stuffed and you're not uncomfortable from what you consume. It's not like we have in the American culture, which is kind of like, I need to sit down for X period of time and I need to finish everything on my plate. I get why we do it, but try going to 80%. Just get to a point of I'm satisfied. Think about how different that is from how most people eat and maybe how you're even eating right now. We eat until we're full, then we eat a little bit more. And that is a discipline problem, but it's not all that complicated to fix. It's really not. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's certainly not complicated to fix. So non-negotiable number four, eat like an adult, eat right. You already know what you need to do. Non-negotiable number five, and here's where we're gonna end these list of non-negotiables. Non-negotiable number five, reduce friction and increase your consistency. Health does not deteriorate or break down because you don't know what to do. It breaks down because your system makes it so damn hard to execute. So fix the system. In other words, if you're planning on working out in the morning and it might be a challenge for you, lay your clothes out the night before. Schedule your workouts like you do your meetings. Prep your food on the weekends if that's what will make it easier for you to eat right. Remove all the decisions. Don't have that decision fatigue. Because this discipline around all that I'm describing, it's not a function of willpower. It's more of a function of the structure, and the structure is what ultimately creates the consistency. So non-negotiable number 5, reduce the friction, make it easier on yourself, and increase the consistency. So let's summarize. Let's bring this all back. I want to be really clear about something. Obviously, I'm not anti-optimization. I'm not saying don't cold plunge or use red light or take supplements, all the things that maybe you're testing out or you're doing regularly. That's great. But I look at all of those things as multipliers, and that's why I'm doing it. I see them as multipliers. But they only work if the base is actually there. And too many of us are trying to multiply zero. You can't multiply zero. You've got to have a foundation that you're consistent with and then multiply that. So here's the question I'd maybe ask myself. Are you focused on the 5% while you're maybe ignoring the 95%? Or are you focused, on too much of these cool, trendy things and not focus on the basics? Because I see that happening a lot right now. And I'm just basing that on the conversations I'm having or the messages I receive. I think people are doing so many advanced things, but we're just not doing the foundational stuff at a consistent enough level. So if you're honest with yourself, if you look in the mirror, you probably already know where you're off. We know what we're missing, or maybe today served as a reminder. So pick, your action item, pick one of those areas that stand out to you. Those non-negotiables I gave you 5 of them. You don't have to pick all 5 right away. Just pick one non-negotiable that you've been inconsistent with and commit to it for, say, the next month. Build it into your daily routine. Okay. Because again, in conclusion, health has never been more advanced than it is right now. But as a result of this progress we've made, it's also never been more confusing with more people throwing information at you. It's at a peak. It's at the highest level of all time. And I think those that are actually thriving in this environment are probably not doing everything, but they're doing a few of the things at a really high level, and they're doing it consistently. And I want to see everybody here with the No Days Off Nation executing like that. That's all I have for you today in the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.